Hi Stampin' Friends, it's Chris Slogar from BuckeyeInklings.com, and today I want to show you one of my craft show projects. It's this cute little tea bag favor. I've been making it with our Stampin' Up! Toile Tidings designer paper. Here's one of the sheets cut down to a 6-inch square, okay, because this is a folded up 6-inch square, and I've been making it in both colors, both the real red and the garden green, and packaging these little favors up in groups of 4 like this because they're kind of small to package on their own, but I did want them to be protected. So that's what I've been doing. And if you stick around this week, I'll have a couple more of my craft show projects on the YouTube channel as well. But let's get started with this. As I said, it uses a 6-inch square of designer paper, and I've put this layout down so you could see what the scoring looks like. Okay, there's a couple of horizontal and vertical scores, and then a lot of diagonals, so it looks like a lot of complicated scoring. If you have a diagonal scoring tool, it's really a cinch, and I'm going to show you that method first. But if you don't have that kind of a tool, stick around. I'll show you a couple of other ways to get those scores without too much, measuring and fuss. Okay, so let me start with the vertical and horizontal scores. And when you have paper like this that's directional, I'm setting mine up so that, well, first of all, the side that you want to show should be up on your scoring board. And I'm putting this so that the back of the tea bag favor shows the pattern right side up. I think that makes more sense because you see the big picture here. As that paper comes around to the front and it's folded every which way, these patterns aren't going the correct direction, but you barely see them. And I think it makes more sense to see that pretty picture on the back. Okay, so I've got that 6-inch square with the top to the top of my scoring board, and I'm going to score at 1.5 and 4.5 to make the two sides. And then I'm going to turn it, and this is the bottom of the paper, and I'm scoring it also at 1.5. Okay, so those are the horizontal and vertical scores, and what I'm going to do is show you on my diagonal scoring plate how to make the diagonals, and you may have something similar on whatever scoring tool you use. But like I said, if you don't, stick around, and after I put this together, I'll show you some methods to make those diagonal score lines. Okay, so on my diagonal plate, I know I need to score from midpoint to midpoint on each side, and also from 1.5 inch away from the corner to the adjacent side, 1.5 inch away on each side. So very simple. If you have a tool like this, I'm just coming in at 3 inches and scoring, and at 4.5 and scoring, and turning, and doing that on all 4 sides to get those score lines. Okay, so of course you can, make marks and do this with a ruler and a stylus, but I'll show you that after the fact. Let me show you how to fold this up first, and then we'll go to those alternate ways. So I'm folding in and burnishing the sides, okay, and the bottom of the pouch that we're making. And then I'm going to fold in all of these diagonals. Okay, I'm going to do the big ones first, and mine come out pretty neat because that's a pretty exact method using that scoring plate. But if you, if you were a little off, you could kind of force this at this point so that these all meet nicely in the middle. And then each of those little side triangles, you're gonna fold in and burnish as well. Okay, so basically you've got this shape. Now I'm folding in each little triangle and then on each larger diagonal. Okay, and this is where we stand, which is basically the look of our pouch. And all we need to do is turn these corners in, okay? So each of these 3 corners on the 2 sides and the bottom that are sticking out, we're going to reverse fold them. So I'm just picking up these diagonals a bit and then forcing that corner to come up and in. Okay, and I'm going to do that on all 3 sides that need to turn in. And these corners will meet in the middle. And just like that, you have your pouch, okay? So the tea bag actually will hold this in place. And all I do, I'm adding a little bit of adhesive right up here to kind of tack that all closed at the top. And then I have a tag. You can make whatever tag you want. I have a 1.5 inch real red circle on the back of this tag punch that was from last year's tin of tags, I think it was called. So I'm just putting that on with a ribbon for each of mine, and that's how simple it is. Okay, so there's not that much to it once you get past these diagonal folds. So stick around if you want to see some alternate methods to do that. Okay, so alternate method to make those diagonals we need for this project. And we are going to do 2 different alternates. So I've got 2 squares here, and in each case, we still need the vertical and horizontal scores. So let me put those in place first, okay? So we're going at 1.5 and 4.5, and then along the bottom at 1.5, okay? So I'm going to do that on both of these pieces that we're going to add diagonals to. All right, so let me put away that. And of course, what you could do in each case is measure. You can measure to the midpoint of each side and to these quarter points, and then connect them, you know, with your stylus and your straight edge. I think that would drive me crazy if I was doing more than one. So my method would be this. I've got this layout drawn for this reason. Okay, so I'm going to put my designer paper right on top of it. If you want to make sure it doesn't shift, I have some temporary adhesive that I can lock this in place with here. And then I'm going to use this grid. Once you make this grid, you can just keep using it over and over. And instead of measuring each time, I'm going to line up my straight edge with the marks I had here and do all of my scoring this way, all right? Just connecting those edges. That's why I purposely drew those score lines to come off of the edge of my 6-inch square, and I can follow them very easily this way and get those score lines in place. Okay, so that's not so terrible. Like I said, it would just drive me crazy to measure this like each time. If you were making one, okay, no problem. You could measure to those midpoints and quarter points. But this is really great because here you've got one done and you could do another one. Okay, the other method, now this one tripped me up a bit on Facebook Live when I did this project a few weeks ago. And I don't know, I don't love this method because it's less exact, but your envelope punch board has a diagonal scoring line at 45, okay? And we can make use of that if we're very careful. And each time we have to line up the corner of your paper at 3 3/8. And we're not punching, we're just scoring. And 4 7/8. Okay, this is where you can get into a little bit of trouble because it's hard to be perfectly exact each time. 3 3/8 and 4 7/8. and 3 3/8, and we have to do this on all 4 sides, and 4 7/8, and I'll show you when we go to fold it. It's probably not going to be super exact, and like I said, that really tripped me up on Facebook Live a couple weeks ago, but I think I've got it down now. Okay, so again, we're folding in the sides first on the verticals and the bottom. Okay, now when you go to do these larger diagonals, they may not meet as perfectly as mine did in the middle, and you will just have to kind of force them as need be to cooperate a bit. Okay, they're not as perfect as what we did. See, they're not coming together exactly, but this will work. And if you need to make some adjustments, you can. Let's just go with it. Let's see what happens. And again, we're turning in these corners. And important to make sure that this little corner point is within that diagonal line. Okay, that will stay out of the way of the fold. And we're doing the same thing we did in the first one, where we fold in all those corners, and then we're turning in those parts that stick out. Okay, so you're doing a little more adjusting and forcing if things aren't perfect in this case. But in the end, you're not going to really see a difference in your finished product. Okay, so if you want to use the envelope punch board, you know, that is the method. See, I find the corners don't come as perfectly. But you can kind of force things to work out. And then the tea bag, once you slip it in, holds it all together nicely. Okay, so this was the one with the envelope punch board, right? So you end up with the same look. You may need to do a little adjusting and forcing on your folds and burnishing, but you end up with the same thing. And then this is the one we did by just using our ruler and our scoring tool. I'll show you that one folds up the same way. You see how quick and easy these are to make. That's why this is a great project, like to make a group of these if you need a table favor. Okay, I've got that temporary adhesive here. That's driving me nuts. Okay, and there it goes. Okay, so let's see how this one works, if this one is a little better in terms of the meeting. Yeah, see, I feel like this one comes together just a little bit better. So pick your method. Of course, if you have a diagonal scoring plate, that is quick and very accurate. Okay, that one came together nicely. Let's just turn in these outer corners. This was the one with you know, using this pattern. Yeah, I think this one comes together nicely. So you wouldn't want to measure like every time. So I'd make a pattern like this if you don't have a diagonal scoring plate. Okay, and each time you're turning in corners. All right, so hope this helps to get you, you know, a way to make this based on what tools you have. Oh, I wish we could get that diagonal scoring plate again for the Simply Score. That is a great tool that we used to have available. Maybe you could find it on eBay if you really want one. Okay, but again, there we have it, a couple different ways. All right, thanks guys. Hope if you need any of the products you see in the video, you'll visit me at buckeyeinklings.com. There's a link there to my online store, and of course, lots of other ideas. All right, take care.